Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Our very own BLM Brandon, he's the mayor of Chicago. He was the featured guest on an unremarkable episode of Firing Line with Margaret Hoover, as is every episode of Firing Line with Margaret Hoover, because she's an unremarkable interviewer. What a, as I've said before, there's no greater commentary to the denigration in the quality of policy and political discourse, the intelligence level of it, than to use Firing Line going from William F. Buckley to Margaret Hoover. I can't provide a more succinct commentary on what's happened in the last 40 years in political discourse in this country than to offer that illustration. She asked him, because she thought it was cute, that he named that snowplow Abolish Ice. Abolish Ice, the snowplow naming contest, the breads and circuses that we all enjoy in Chicago. Abolish Ice was the winner, and he got a big kick out of that, and she did too. But no, seriously, should we abolish ICE? Yeah. Look,
the ICE agents and the federal government in this moment have acted irresponsibly. The use of ICE has been quite abusive. It's demonstrated how terrorizing that it could be. And any form of government that harms people, we should question whether or not it should exist.
It's interesting. I remember people like BLM Brandon 6 years ago, after the George Floyd death, saying the same things about local police. I remember people like Brandon Johnson saying the same thing about Chicago police after the shooting of Trayvon Martin. Abolish ICE. Abolish the police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Wasn't that one of the chants, I recall, of those protesters / rioters / purveyors of symbolic takings marching down Bull Mish over to Wacker, looting stores on Michigan Avenue too, by the way. I know, symbolic takings. So, it's the same old script with a new fill in the blank. For more on this and other law enforcement matters, pleased to be joined again by Eugene Roy, retired Chicago Police Chief of Detectives. He is an advocate for officer wellness, PTSD recovery, and suicide prevention. Eugene Roy, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dan. Good morning.
I mean, am I misremembering that? Doesn't the rhetoric in the direction of federal law enforcement, ICE, CBP, which basically we've heard before about that too in Trump term one, but isn't it reminiscent eerily of the defund the police posture of Black Lives Matter protesters some 6 years ago across America?
It certainly appears to be following the same protocol, the same rules, the same program. It's all the same. Demonize the police, demonize law enforcement.
What, as you've watched, including but not limited to the ICE-involved shooting over the weekend in Minneapolis, what is your view of ICE operations? And also, too, I mean, if you might distinguish what we all see in terms of the coverage in states that are not sanctuary states or sanctuary cities versus what we see in states and cities like Chicago and Illinois, like Minneapolis and Minnesota, that are.
Well, first of all, what we're seeing here is a media-fueled rush to judgment. We see every amateur who's got access to any sort of video program on their laptop or their phone is looking at videos from different sources where we can't determine the source or the accuracy. And they're fueling this rush to judgment. We have amateurs weighing in on what's going on up there. It's outrageous. And the media fuels it. The media allows it.
What did you see from, the available video that we've all been consuming? What did you see on Saturday? Was there I mean, obviously the loss of life is always concerning, but, in terms of the approach of ICE officers, was there anything that concerned you, something that you would have been done different, or do you sort of, not want to second guess at this point in terms of your observation that there's a rush to judgment going on?
There's 2 points to your question. First of all, it's way too early. It's premature. Let's let all the video get gathered. Let's have it professionally and independently analyzed. And don't forget, too, that there's a certain time period where the federal agents have opportunities to go through a sleep cycle or two before they have to make a formal statement regarding the incident. So I don't want to get into the incident per se. As far as the way things are being conducted, I would suggest a more surgical approach. I mean, this thing of just having mass convoys driving down the street, it's unproductive, and it's just going to keep fueling this. I think that ICE needs to learn from some of the other problems they've had in other cities and adapt a more surgical approach to what they're doing. Identify the people who really need to go, the murderers, the child predators, the drug cartel people. Those are the people they should be focusing on. Do that, do it effectively and surgically.
But, I mean, do you believe there are complications to even if they turned a blind eye to people that are just in this country illegally that they happen upon in pursuit of somebody who is a violent criminal, is a public safety threat? Even if they did that, I mean, at this stage, with these organized operations of people following them and communicating on signal chats and interfering, sometimes assaulting, or worse, biting off a finger. That apparently happened this weekend, incredibly. Do you see that even if they were going after a child predator, they'd be getting the same treatment from the same people?
That's always going to be there. The political structure in Minnesota has mobilized and energized their base, which is even more of a reason that ICE has to respond. You can't keep playing the same game and getting the same results and expect things to get better. Move on to a more effective surgical method of operations. The haters are always going to be there. Focus on the high value. Take away the emphasis of the negative message.
I wanted to get your attention on something that's more local and specific and primarily domestic, although not 100%. Headlines like this that we still see in Chicago. I know everybody is celebrating the multi-generational low in murders across the country, and that is good news. But that hardly is the same thing as saying we don't have a crime problem in Chicago, and that we don't have a lot of crimes that could be prevented that are not being prevented. And the headlines like this: cops shot paroled 6-time felon who opened fire on them after shooting woman. Woman and man on pretrial release for 8 felony shoplifting cases arrested again, found hiding in West Loop dumpster. 8 arrests in 6 months. Women allegedly beat bus passenger, 2 others while AWOL from court. And the stories that are almost daily of multiple repeat offenders on electronic monitoring, not abiding electronic monitoring, able to cut loose from electronic monitoring without much in the way of repercussions because there doesn't seem to be much in the way of oversight. The combination of the Safety Act and what is seeming to me an ineffectual electronic monitoring program, the removal of the shot spotter cameras. I mean, what is your sense of the domestic policing environment in Chicago under this mayor and this governor?
To say it's difficult is a dramatic understatement. Let me point out a couple of things, first of all. We've had Pritzker's been in office for this is his second term now. We've had the Safety Act, which is terrible. We've had City Hall is now under the control of somebody who's definitely anti-police. The biggest issue, though, that I see is we had 8 years of Kim Fox and everybody's a good person and don't prosecute people. And we've only had our new state's attorney work for just about a year. Look at the dramatic impact she's had. Look at the expediting the processing of felony gun cases in cooperation with the Chicago police. And they're not losing these gun cases that can be approved by the district watch commanders instead of felony review. We're making progress, but we're trying to get out of a hole that's been at least 8 years in the making, if not longer. It's a long haul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I heard a rumor this weekend. I just want to get your take on it. Even if you know something about it, I know you're not going to comment, but let's just play a hypothetical. I heard a rumor that Police Chief Larry Snelling is going to retire in advance of the 27 election for mayor and is considering running for mayor. Whether you know anything about that rumor or you think it's true or not, do you think somebody like that would be a good candidate to initiate a paradigm shift that is required in Chicago?
First of all, I respect and admire the superintendent. He's done one hell of a job in a relatively short period of time, overcome several major obstacles. I have enough trust and respect and confidence in him. I'll let him speak for himself. As far as a change agent, yes, we definitely need somebody who's going to speak up even more than Chief Superintendent Snelling has done, and become that energizing force to educate people, to let them see what's happened over the past 8 years and what needs to be done to turn this around.
Eugene Roy, retired Chicago Police Chief of Detectives, advocate for officer wellness, PTSD recovery, and suicide prevention. Eugene Roy, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care.
Take care. And Eugene Roy joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Pain doesn't just hurt your body, it cripples your life. I know this because I've seen it with people I care about. If joint pain is holding you back, start the new year